Welcome to week 3, day 1. This is when I started doing the demote system, which is tracking. I think I started tracking deaths, and the demote system is basically once you hit a certain rank, if you hit a certain amount of deaths, you'll demote back to the previous rank. So, like if you hit parkour noob, which is literally stage 2, if you die 10 times, you'll go back to the noob stage, which is stage 1. Um, in hindsight, I feel like I made everything a bit too uh hard, and that the 10 deaths might be a bit too little, but I did have an idea where each jump that you complete in general is used as a form of currency, and then with that currency you can open a shop and you could potentially get an immunity to the the demote. You get an immunity to the demote, or you could get an immunity to like deaths or get like extra deaths or stuff like that. And I guess you can do microtransactions with that, but that'd be pretty, yeah. Anyways, most of what I did this day was just this. I was focused on doing the deaths to demote and then how many deaths it would take. And then I also make sure that if somebody cleared a stage when the stage was already cleared, nothing funky would happen. So like if their score was less than what their score was the previous time, it wouldn't overwrite their score and add more onto it, because it would check and say your high score was this. We can't go back and rewrite your high score if you scored less. And it's just things like that. It was a really simple thing. It was like 40 minutes. I didn't spend too much time on it. And the idea here is just that even though you rank up, there's some threat to failing your run. So if you're going for more risky things, instead of say like I'm gonna go for a risky thing and then go back and complete it later, you could demote. When you go back and you complete it, I'm planning to make it so like one death is just one death. You're not gonna be able to keep re-challenging it. But if you do die a certain amount of times, you will demote. And I think that's what I want to go for. But I think at certain thresholds, it's going to be you can't demote anymore, which I did at a later date. And that's like to say that, if you get up to the highest rank, I don't want you to demote all the way down to noob. Like at a certain point, you'll only be able to demote to a certain rank. And in the hindsight, in my mind's eye, I'm trying to have like at least a lobby system and then a teleportation system. So these are all isolated instances that you can go and do these things. And then if you want to go and repeat and do the high score over again, you can do all of that. But I'm trying to incorporate all of it and wrap everything around in a way where all of these fit and actually can work. So it's not just that, if that makes sense. It's sort of like I do want you to have the threat of demoting, even if you're in a lobby type system where it's like, oh, if I die a certain amount of times, I'll demote and I'll have to do the trial over again. Which later on, the next week, at the start of the next week, or at the end of this week, is when I actually make the trial and do the tickets and the trials and everything like that. So, yeah, that's about it. Like a lot of the stuff is just ideas that I've formed, and I have to come to terms with how they should be done and how they will work, and if everything cohesively works together. And hindsight, so far everything's working. And this week is mostly buildings, not building stages necessarily, but for the majority, I get the demote system down. And then past the demote system, I start moving into like doing the stages, because all I need for all of these things is just to get all of that done, and then I can make the stages, and then I can make the ticket system when I get to the stage with the ticket, and then I can make the trial system when I get to the stage with the trial, which is a time trial. And in hindsight, that might be a bit difficult because it's one attempt, and if you fail at all, you have to go back and clear the trial one, and the trial one is also difficult. So yeah, that's about it. I kind of extended this a little bit. I didn't have to, and a lot of people might don't stick around till the end. I could say the normal YouTuber stuff where people are way more popular and say, "Oh, 78% of you aren't subscribed, so you should subscribe and like now." And only a few of you will catch that. Or I can say like, most of you don't watch until this long. Thanks for sticking around, and I do appreciate anybody that sticks around. But that'll be all. Next week it's definitely, I think it's still demotes, and then not next week, next day, and then we'll go and we'll see where it's going, because so far it's coming together to being like a game. And I think I at this point, once I get the entire trial system done and everything works, I can have people that I know at least test it and see how it plays and see if it's too difficult, and like they can't complete it because one of these I did 112 attempts to clear the hard. Like stage 3, I did 112 attempts to get a perfect run of clearing the stage 3, just to get every single coin that was on the hard route. And I have to go through and I have to test all these, and I knew specifically that a large majority of it was cleared because I did it multiple times, but I couldn't do it all in succession. So yeah, thanks for sticking around. Next video is tomorrow. Yeah.